Hello, how are you? Hope you're staying cool. I'm trying, but the humidity is so muggy, and I can't complain because it's not as hot here as the rest of the country. I've been doing some crafts for therapy, art therapy, and I made this little, it's a copper, it's supposed to be a snake. And I pounded the wire flat with this um, hammer that I have had for a while. I actually have two of them because I wasn't satisfied with one of them, so they just mailed me another one from Amazon. And you just take your wire or whatever, and you can pound it. But you have to be careful because if you pound it too much, it can snap and break and when you're bending it. So I'm learning as I go along. And then yesterday I painted my toenails, and I had been using this red OPI, which is big apple red, with some kind of, sparkly stuff on top maybe. But then I went with Paint the Tinseltown red, and I put Sally Hansen Insta-Dry. And these are things I've had for quite a while. I'm not going out and spending money on nail polish. And I'm doing my own feet because foot care is very important, especially in summer. So yes, I did my own pedicure. And I have this Nivea lotion that I had gotten a long time ago. And these are things that I've had for a while, so I'm not spending extra money on anything except for things like paper towels, toilet paper, because we don't want to run out of toilet paper now, do we? No. So I'm grateful that because Rob worked in South Portland, which is far away, when we went shopping, I would stock up on things, and once or twice I'd go to Walgreens and I'd buy myself a lotion, which was entirely affordable. And, like, not every time, but, so I have things here because when you live in a rural area and you don't have a car, as I did not, because he was using our only car for work, and we couldn't afford to buy me a second car just to have. So we were economizing, and he knew that I had a very severe anxiety issue and problems. So he encouraged me to be creative instead of trying to do a full-time job. And I did freelance stuff for a while, but some of the people didn't want to pay me what I was worth, or they just didn't want to pay me for 3 or 4 months. And I belong to the National Writers Union, and I was trained by the Chicago branch. I was flown to Hartford with another gentleman, and we drove to I think it was Amherst, Massachusetts, and I received training on how to help writers navigate their rights, such as I wrote an article for a magazine and they never paid me for it. What do I do? Or what are my first and second rights? Because there was a big court case called, I think it was Ticini versus the New York Times years ago, and writers were getting paid their first North American serial rights for being published in the physical newspaper, and then the New York Times would post the article on their website, and you're navigating new territory. And the writer said, wait, you got to pay me for the second rights of the second right of publication. And New York Times said, nah. So a writer whose last name was Ticini took them to court, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And he won. They have to now pay you if you get published, and they publish it in their physical newspaper and then post it online. Technically, they have to pay you. So what the New York Times and the Boston Globe did was say, we're just going to make you sign a form saying you give up all your rights and we'll do whatever we want. So, and there's other big publications like that try to skirt law, and it's wrong. And for instance, do you remember David Cassidy? He, unfortunately, they did a lot of, I forget what you call them, but they did things like Partridge Family lunch boxes with David Cassidy on them. And he should have been able to get some residual, some money from those items. And he didn't, because he didn't have adequate representation, and that's not right. And so, for instance, if you write a novel and you make money off it, that's great. Somebody buys the movie rights to your novel of, you know, Anne of Green Gables or something, and then they decide to make, I don't know, an American Doll, Anne of Green Gables, or a lunchbox with Anne of Green Gables, or something that comes from your creative work, which is copyrighted as soon as you write it down. You don't have to file with the Copyright Office. As soon as you write something, a poem, a little painting, a piece of music that you create, you're technically copyrighted, but it's always good if you really intend to take it further to, you know, if it's professional stuff that you're going to sell, to file with the Copyright Office. And there's, you can look that up online on how to do that. And you need to know your rights as a creative person, as an artist, that people can't just steal your work if you don't want them to. You can put watermarks on your photos. A lot of people do that. But when you write a poem, it's copyrighted already. Somebody can't just take your poem and say, I did that. And when I write poems, I use the copyright symbol and my name, or my nom de plume, and I put it at the bottom of everything. And I've used my middle name, Marie Monte, and I've written a poem or something, and I say copyright Marie Monte. And a trademark is different than a copyright, and I am not a lawyer by any means, but a trademark would be something like Kleenex. And we use it ubiquitously all the time, but it's tissue paper, brand name, trademark, Kleenex. So you cannot sell a box of tissue and call it Kleenex. Okay? So, and so I learned all this stuff, but unfortunately it was after my last relationship before Robert, and I was in a remote area, and I really wanted to continue with the Chicago branch of the National Writers Union, and for some reason the people in New England, somebody took a dislike to me and said, we don't think she's good enough. And they didn't know I'm from New England. They didn't know my father is an English teacher. They didn't know my family history. And I'm, you know, a member, I could be a member of the DAR and all that other stuff. So I still belong to the union, but I'm not really active in it right now. I get their newsletter and stuff, but I think the closest branch to me is in Boston, so I can't really get down there to be active with it. But, you know, it's something I'll pursue when I have more time and resources. But I'm, you know, I'm looking forward to the vocational training, and I have other resources of other people who are going to assist me in navigating my anxiety disorder, which is a real mental illness. And that's how I'm getting the vocational training, because anxiety is a real mental illness. It's not something I'm making up. It's not just, oh, cut it out, get a job, blah, blah, blah. It throws you into a heavy panic. You can go to the emergency room. It paralyzes you. You can't function when you're having panic attacks. And I'm getting it addressed with my private therapist, who is going to be coordinating with vocational training to help me navigate things, and I'm going to have a case manager who's going to help me navigate how I'm going to make income while I'm training, because obviously I can't just drop everything like paying rent and buying cat food to attend school. And this is paid for by grants. I don't know if they're federal or state, but it's for Maine people like me, a widow who has not worked for many years, who has a mental illness called generalized anxiety disorder. And if you think it's not real, then bye-bye now. I don't want to know you, because I'm intelligent, I'm smart, I'm a hard worker, but I suffer with this mental illness disorder. And I just got my 23andMe DNA test email saying 67% of people with your genetics who are female have been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. So it's in my genes. And I'm not making it up. And I've been struggling with it for years because I cannot pop a pill for it. And there was an article that just came out this morning saying SSRIs are no better than a placebo, and the whole serotonin theory was developed in the 60s, and the drug companies got a hold of it and said, let's all pop a pill to make us happy. You know what? If it works for you, fine, but please never, never tell me, just take a Zoloft, just take a Paxil, just take this, because that stuff makes me hallucinate like I'm on LSD, which I only tried once, and I don't do drugs. You know, and I have some vices, but I'm doing well. I'm not overdoing it, and I'm gonna get things going. But yeah, it's art therapy, pounding on this little anvil, and that's a lapis lazuli, Native American carved object that I picked up somewhere, and I have a piece of lapis, and I might try carving it with my Dremel tool one of these days when it's not so hot. But anyway, I'm working it. I'm taking care of myself as best I can. I have friends and neighbors who help me get to the store. I have a little bit of funds that I was able to pay my cell phone bill with, and buy my paper products, and buy my cat food. So if I buy myself a pack of cigs and have a couple a day or whatever, it's nobody's business but mine, because I have doctors and therapists who are going to help me get ahead and get healthy. And I'm so grateful I live in Maine that has grants to help poor widows like me get ahead and hopefully get into adequate housing with a washer dryer and stable people around me, because some of the people here are not, and it's been borderline abusive. So just by not the repairs being done and saying, oh, I can't do it, and I'm like, okay. And so a lot of women, professionals, neighbors, friends, and men have been helping me, and I'm working it and doing the best I can with the resources I have, which is something Robert used to say, and I miss him every day, but I gotta keep going. And I hope you're doing well. I hope you aren't too hot. I hope people weren't affected by the terrible storms we had the other day. Oh my God, yesterday. Windham, Maine, it was horrible. A little girl died from a tree crashing on her, and I was watching the radar, and fortunately it was south of us, but this weather situation ain't good, people. And I hope everyone is staying cool. Have a nice evening.